kinds of poultry because people are getting into a lot more things and other poultry besides chickens too. So I just kind of want to get started and find out like how many people now are raising some type of poultry. How many people have not yet? Okay, good. All right, so hopefully we'll all get something out of it. I'm wanting turkeys right now going. And then I have a million guineas, because I had a mama guinea actually that hatched 22 chicks. And guineas, how many people raise guineas right now? Okay, how many people want to? Okay, and how many people are like, have heard the stories about them? So, I love guineas, but the thing is up front, they're going to be a little work when you first get them. And I had a really, it's sort of like getting a puppy. You have to train it, make sure it goes out, you get the food, and then you bring it back. The best way to train a guinea so it will not eat and go up in the trees and get eaten by an owl is to get it to go and live with your chicken. When a chicken starts to get broody, does everyone know what that means when a chicken gets broody? It means that she's wanting to sit on her eggs. She gets her clutch. So a lot of people, and even for me when I first started, it's like, well, how are they going to sit on the eggs, or, how does it work, or how, if the chicken only lays one egg a day, So what it is there might be more than 1 or 2 or 3 chickens going on the same nest laying a bunch of eggs, and when you get enough and she thinks there's enough, then she's going to sit on it and lock down on it. So she's doing her thing and she's locking down, and she might be in your chicken coop. So how many of you guys are like, oh good, my chicken's broody, she's in the chicken coop. But then all the other chickens want to push her out of the way, lay their eggs. You'll say, no, you're not ever getting the
No, we're never
ducks. But I'm not going to say never, because I really do like them a lot. Yeah. Let's say you have, when you first get into it, and you have 10 chickens, so everyone puts 10 nesting boxes up.
Wrong.
Don't do it. If you put 1 nesting box, they're all going to lay in the one nesting, you know what I mean? So you can put a couple in there, and that's really all you need. And generally, they'll do it underneath the nesting box, or they'll do it somewhere else. So don't freak out if you don't have nesting boxes for all of them, because you don't need them.
A lot of y'all can get through your homeowners association because they specifically say fowl or something like a chicken. They don't say fowl, they say chicken. So if you have just chicken, then go to the quail and try to use that.
No, but they would never know, because if you had quail, they'll never know that you have it.
We visited a family in Hawaii.
We already talked about that.
Oh, yeah.
We're moving on now. You gave it love, you fed it, you knew where it came from, and it's going to give you sustenance, and it's going to feed you. There's so many ways to skin a chicken, to kill a chicken, to process a chicken. You heard Grandma used to do this, bring it around her, her head. A lot of people you'll see on the internet, they have the kill cones where you put them in a cone, put their head, and you hang them upside down, and then they go and they slit their throat. Okay, that's great. That's a good way to do it. And then a lot of the Amish, when I would go and hang out with them, they would have the little boys chop the heads off. So they would get a board and put 2 nails in it, and then they would put the head there, and then they would chop the head off. So that's another way to do it, okay? And then I went to this wonderful lady who I just love so much, and I'm sad because she ended up moving to Kentucky, an Amish lady. But the cool thing is we're still friends, and we still go visit them. But she did it a different way. And she showed me one day when I was over there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I love it. And it's using a broom handle or a stick, okay? So all I'm gonna do right now, she's very happy. She doesn't look distressed, does she? So she's not gonna know, and so now it'll just be quick. Know what's going to happen to them. Step 2, I use my broom handle so it can hang out and not break its wings. Step 4, you're going to give it a bath. And then it doesn't get big and I just enter like that.
And that's cold water, right?
Yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to dunk it. You want to make sure that it's all is it 150? What is it? It's 150. Okay. So you're gonna don't hold it in there. I like to shake it so that you get the feathers really coated. And then I'll look at what I did. Who wants to help? Oh, there's like a little gland here. It's called the oil can, and what happens is, you know, when they go back there and they prune and they fluff them up, that's kind of the oil can. So we don't want that on there, so we're going to take that off.
One of the most common questions we get often is, Zach, why don't you do lights in your home? How come you don't have lights? And the reason for that is, I guess you guys heard about the story recently, how incandescents are now illegal. This came out. I mean, they've been trying to do this for a long time, but they just, it seemed like, enacted just this last week. You guys hear about that? Incandescents are now illegal in the United States. And they started under Bush to do this, and they progressed, and there was so much pushback against it, and they stopped. But anyway, now everything is these blue lights, these fluorescent lights, and all these LED things that you can buy at the stores. And there's lots of studies out there. You do the research; they are not healthy for you. So people will say, Zach, why don't you have lights in your home? We don't want lights. You know, we like the way our kerosene lanterns give us light, and I know there's more healthier. We have different healthier options now for kerosene. But kerosene, the way they made it, kerosene is one of the oldest and easiest ways to create energy. They started making kerosene back in the 9th century. Okay, it's come a long way. Kerosene today is very clean, and they even make so many other super clean alternatives you can get to those batteries, and it will take that current and then send it into AC current and then send it out to the house. And that's where you plug stuff into. Make sense? You got your inverter, house. One other thing I'll include on that system, and I've always included it in my diagrams, and if you look those diagrams up on my website, you'll see something called the ALS battery charger. And basically it just shoots like these voltages out into the battery system. It's called the battery lifesaver, VLF battery lifesaver. And it shoots these volts into the battery system to help decrystallize the plates inside those batteries. Now you'll find reviews online, you'll find critics online who say that's just a bunch of hogwash, it doesn't really work, it's not even real science. But the reviews speak for themselves. I took batteries and we left our batteries out. We had our batteries outside of an environmentally controlled environment for 5 or 6 years. And those batteries were perfectly fine. They should have only lasted outside of an environmentally controlled environment, like outside in a box, it was in a box, for only 3 years, but they lasted 6. That battery lifesaver works. Okay, I would highly recommend if you build a system to include one of those. Yeah, so that's what I was going to get to. So the old school way is you have all these components. Well, what's happened now today is what she just mentioned, the all-in-ones. And if you watch my videos recently, I have an all-in-one system now. There's lots of different brands out there, and I'm not going to promote one, but I have videos out there, you can watch them. But they're great. It's all in one box. You have the charge controller, you have the combiner box, you have you even have a 3-stage charger inside that thing that you can use to charge your system. So it is a lot less money. Before, you were spending a couple $1,000s or more on all the components, whether depending on how high grade of a component you got, how high, because they make different quality ones, for your different size systems.
there.
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
All right, y'all. So we're gonna talk a little bit about the
Use the
compost.
microphone because people in the back
Can
can't
you guys hear me?
Say no. So today we're going to talk about composting toilet, specifically not the company that are $2,000 that you buy,
Right.
but all you need is a 5-gallon bucket and, you know, a box like this and a toilet seat you get at the store, and you can have a composting toilet. And so kind
It saves a lot of water, saves a lot of cost, it produces a compost that we can use, which is very rich and organic. It makes very good dirt. And then, so that's when we decided to go with the composting toilet.
Well, and then also, you can get fancy. We ended up getting a chair.
Yeah, Chris.
It looks like a chrysanthemum. She found one some yard sale. And they made out of a fancy golden chair with wicker backing, and then the toilet. And then you put the bucket underneath it. It was really cute, but then eventually the wicker was getting all ripped up on it, and so you know I got rid of it. But you can get fancy if you want to.
It's a low cost of entry. A 5-gallon bucket and sawdust or leaves or coffee grounds, any kind of organic material to cover your waste, right?
What do you use?
Wood chips.
Wickers.
If you want to get the sawdust, a lot of times if you find a local sawmill, roll it with your truck. Usually they'll give it to you free, or they might charge you like $10 or $20.
For a whole
Right?
truckload.
So everything else is just like going to the regular bathroom. I mean, just, you know, for the girls and for the boys.
I know I have a sign at the house that says "Remember to flush."
So you're going to go to the bathroom, right? You're going to go number 1 and number 2 if you want to. Okay? You can actually separate it out. We use our urine also in our garden. Okay? So a lot of times we're just the poop. All right? I'm just going to go right to the worst. Just the poop is in there. Okay? And there's no urine a lot of times, especially in the summertime.
The buckets can get very heavy if you do
Urine.
pee a lot.
Yeah.
You know, what fills it up very quickly is the urine.
Yeah.
We know inside here we have a 5-gallon bucket. You know, you just open up, put your 5-gallon bucket in there. You put a little layer of sawdust at the bottom of the bucket before you do anything. You have a clean bucket. Make sure everything's clean after every time I take a new bucket out. Then I put my layer of sawdust in the bucket, okay? And then, like you were saying, you're going to go to the bathroom. We do use the urine for fertilizer. It's very high in nitrogen, and if you add wood ash, you know, from the fireplace or whatever to it, it's a wonderful fertilizer for your garden. So you could use either one. You could just use urine diluted in a 5-gallon bucket. You know, you might put a little urine at the bottom and then fill the rest with water. And then you could also go ahead and add the wood ash to it, like a cup or so of wood ash, cup or two, and then mix it all up, fill the rest up with water, and then you'll have a great fertilizer. So I started not wanting to pee in the bucket as much. So you're getting too much information today, but I would just go ahead. Guys can pee outside. Okay, but if you have a farm, you can just go right out the door and go wherever. And then I was, you know, like a truck driver, I would use a wide mouth mason jar. And I would pee in a mason jar, and then I would go, you could put it in a 5-gallon bucket, or I would just go dump it out in the rocks. Okay, because you can reuse it. Because it's just urine. And so that's what I started doing. So mostly you'll have your poop in here with a little urine. So I'll pee in it once in a while, but not all the while. We'll poop in it, just a little pee in it, and make sure it's covered good. And when you go to the bathroom, generally, people go to the bathroom, and then you always end up having a mound in your bucket. So I always go in there, and after, you know, if people come over, or if anyone's in there, I'll just get, like, you know, some, you know, toilet paper, and I'll mush it down, and make sure you mush it down. I'm giving you all the stuff. This is the stuff you're not going to hear. Because
The first thing you do is turn the bucket. right? Because everything's in the back, turn it to the front. That's the first.
But I always will make sure for me at home, like if you have kids or anything, because kids are notorious, because they'll go and then there's just a big, and the toilet paper sticking out, but you don't change it until it comes to the top. Okay? You're not going to wait till it's halfway full. It can come all the way up. Like the grandkids will come over and they're like, you need to change the bucket. I'm like, no, you still got some space, you know, I'll push it down a little bit. And that's how it works.
I haven't, no. If they have a weep hole at the bottom and you're buried below the frost line, I've never had a problem with it. Nope. They drain automatically. So the gutter height isn't the issue. It's the ceiling height inside the barn, right? Because I can't take the tanks up, the top of the tank cannot be higher than the gutter. It has to be able to fall into from the gutter. You know what I mean? And then when you get inside, you have your cross beams for the roof trusses, and that's what eats up your space.